Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time. And I have some pretty cool authors with me today. They are part of a book that we have coming out called EmbodyKind, a guide for authentic living. Before I introduce them to you, I want to say a ginormous thank you to Kristi Trader. Kristi is our lead author of this amazing book. And Kristi, without you, we would not be here. Yeah, I'll give her the heart too. She had a big mission, and really this is a movement. EmbodyKind is a movement, and I'm so grateful and honored to be here and celebrating this movement and, producing this beautiful book. And we're going to tell you all about it with these authors today. So who do I have with me in the Zoom room? Ari Weinzweig is the CEO and co-founder partner of Zingerman's community of businesses and the author of over a dozen books and pamphlets, all published in the spirit of the sort of farm-to-table foods in which Zingerman's specializes, produced in-house and printed locally by Zingerman's Press. Liz Dobbins, CEO and founder of Propelology. Did I get that right? I knew I was going to butcher that one too. Say it for me, Liz.
Propelology.
Propelology, thank you. Where she offers sensory self-awareness training for ICF coaches and executive coaches to support agility in their environment to self-regulate from a coach-client perspective. Tisha Marina Bernard is a peace activator, holistic coach, and indigenous medicine practitioner dedicated to breaking social stigmas around mental health by invoking ancestral wisdom. And Lori Marshall is the founder of Unity Through Creativity Foundation and the Singing Tree Mural Project, where the whole world is invited to create together, demonstrating that radical collaboration is possible, practical, and beautiful. Radical collaboration. That's what these books are, you guys. I love that. I love that I read yours last because that so perfectly talks about how I feel about these books. Okay, Ari, you're going to start the party off. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Well, I don't know if it's amazing, but I did the best I can. It's just a topic that it's close to my heart. It's obviously close to all these other wise women's hearts. And it's a natural human thing that somehow has been eroded through a barrage of negativity, a barrage of accusations, a barrage of negative beliefs. And in a wonderful way, while we disagree in the world, it just became really obvious to me that we can work actively to be kind to each other, and that all things go better when we start with kindness. The beauty of it is it's free. Every 4-year-old knows how to do it. Every agro politician and everyone who's belligerent out in the world also knows how to do it. They've just gotten out of the culture where kindness is the norm, and they've gotten into a culture where conflict and accusation becomes every day, instead of just taking a deep breath and trying to look at the other person across the table from you or sitting next to you as a vulnerable, caring human being that would benefit from kindness. So the chapter is just an attempt to put some of that in writing, and then to give some concrete action steps that we can work on using here in our own organization at Zingerman's in Ann Arbor, and also that hopefully will be a help to others.
So, I think we lose a lot of things along the way. You said that, any 4-year-old knows what this is and how to do it. And we lose it depending on the experiences we've had. We have to retrain ourselves into that. How do you do that?
Well, it's really no different than anything else that we need to learn. So if you want to get in shape, you can buy a gym membership, but that alone will do nothing. You need to go, and getting going is often the hardest and the most awkward, because we have a series of beliefs that we've learned over the years. We have a series of habits that we've learned over the years, and we're surrounded often by people who support those beliefs and habits. So all three of those together make it challenging. But if we're ready to make the change, it's actually quite easy. This really requires no one else to do anything. So unlike so many things in our lives that in a good way require collaboration, they require group effort, choosing to be kind is really just a choice that each of us can make. And then the more we work at it, the better it's going to go. Because of course, as everybody on here already knows without me saying it, when we're kind, the odds of getting kindness and dignity back go up, right? And so as we start to change our ecosystem, things start to go better for everybody. And it's just like changing the soil in a farm. You can't just do it in a week. I mean, it's a slow, steady process, and kindness is just a wonderful way to be in the world. And whether that's the way I deal with the cashier at the drugstore, whether that's the way I deal with my significant other, Tammy, when I go home, whether that's the way I deal with my coworkers, it's really all on me. And it's really just me practicing being diligent and being grounded and choosing to be kind all day long.
Thank you for being here, Ari.
Thank you for having me. It's very kind of you.
Liz, you're next. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Well, my name of the chapter that I created is Embodying Sensory Sense. And it's actually discovering your unique way to thrive. So I wrote this chapter because it was one of the first opportunities that kind of came into my world, how I could learn how to self-regulate, no matter what the circumstances, tune in to my own sensory fingerprint, so to speak, and be at ease to succeed with grace. So for the intention of this, it's just a key to understanding how your own sensory system, your sensory preferences can impact you, so you can stay present and face any challenges and navigate life while you're remaining present. So my story actually goes back to a time in my adolescence that came up that I felt was devastating to me at the time, and that I had an opportunity to make a choice. And during that choice, I took time out to move, to not just react, but learn how to respond. And I didn't know I was doing that at the time. So my story is based on my choice. And after my choice, how determined I was. So my act of kindness is being kindness to myself and then moving that intention forward. So my belief is everybody can be kind to themselves and tap into their sensory system as a way to self-regulate. So that's how my story moves.
So, Ari was saying something earlier about, sometimes we're surrounded by people who aren't doing this thing, and it can be difficult and challenging. And I was thinking about your theme of self-regulation. And of course, if I'm sitting here in my office alone, that's one thing. But if I'm in front of somebody who's triggering all my buttons, it's quite another thing. What else do you want to say about that?
Well, I have found it quite interesting over a number of period of years how we can use our sensory systems to tap into our thresholds of what, if you're sitting there like, okay, what do I do to pay attention? Or is there noise going on around me? Or what I do to energize myself? So I usually ask a question: how would you describe the environment that you thrive in? So our sensory system has a lot to do with the environment that we move in every day and how we respond. So yeah, it's very unique. It's your sensory DNA. It's what stays with us for the rest of our life. And it's learning how to tap into that, our sensory system and our body, and how we move forward with this. So yeah, I really enjoy it. So the body and our mind are mutually interactive, and they're mutually influential. So we receive things from our body first and our sensory system before we learn how to self-regulate it. And again, to respond and not to react. So that pause in there really allows us to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it pays to understand what Liz is talking about right now. It can be the key to a foundation of awareness that's life-changing, honestly. Coming from a body awareness perspective in terms of my writing, I know that that was a game changer. So thank you for being here, Liz.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tisha, you are up next. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Thank you, Laura. My chapter is Sacred Hoop Healing, Invoking Personal Transformation One Revolution at a Time. I'm chapter 14, and this chapter is about the inspiring hula hoop that has transformed my own life and then given me the opportunity to bring it into the lives of others.
Okay, I love that you did the show and tell and that you have it behind you. Because earlier I was like, I don't know what that is. But now, of course, I know what that is because I read your awesome chapter about hula hooping. Tell us how you started with that.
I went to some event one evening and there were some women with this hoop and I didn't understand what it was at the time, and they were doing magical tricks with it, and I just knew that I had to do what they were doing. I knew it would change my life, and here we are 14 plus years later where I custom make them. I just made this one. It's a medicine wheel hula hoop, and I put different colors, different glitters, and they just transform people's lives. I don't really have to do anything but hand it over and it does all the magic.
Okay, you had me at glitter. And speaking of being in your body, this is so great because you begin to move like that. And I'm assuming those are weighted in a particular way. Yeah, tell me more about that embodied place that you go. What turns you on about this activity versus just dance or something different?
You have no choice but to be present. You are on a mission to see how to keep the hula hoop around your waist, how to see where it goes in your body, and you forget the outside world. And that's what I've noticed is one of the most beautiful things is for yourself personally. It's meditative, it's mindfulness, it's full presence, and most of all, it's play. So you can't get in the hula hoop and have a bad day. Everything else just goes away. It's a magical portal that you go into. And my favorite part is when people say, oh, I could never hula hoop, I can't do it. But then I hand you one of these weighted hula hoops, and then all of a sudden you can do it. Then all of a sudden you can do anything else in your life.
I love that. Oh, I love that so much. Thanks so much for writing about this and also bringing that beautiful, playful energy, into it. I just wrote that down from you. You can't get in the hula hoop and have a bad day. Like we need to fill in that blank for all the other rest of the things that make us feel that way, right? Yeah, that's awesome energy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, Lori, that means you're up. Tell us about your chapter.
Okay, my chapter is chapter 6. It is Unity Through Creativity, Powering the Singing Tree Mural Project. And like Tisha, I invite the whole world to play. And the embodiment that I'm inviting people to do is to make collaborative murals based on the mutualism of trees and forests, because all the leaves of a tree work for the whole tree. One leaf does not say, I'm better than you are. Do it my way. Move over. You're not good enough. The leaves all bring the sun down to make sugar and all drop to the earth to make soil. And I too had a life-changing moment when I had made a mural with 130 kids in a rural school in Virginia. And a little girl said, I wish the whole world could see our mural and then the whole world would be happy. And then she said, what if the whole world made a painting together? And that changed my life. That was 21 years ago. And I had no idea how to invite the whole world to make a painting together. And two things happened. One, somebody gave me a book called The Singing Tree by Kate Sarady, which is the story of her father in World War I, crawling with his battalion all night long on their bellies, everything dead around them, everything destroyed. like is happening in some parts of Ukraine. And when the dawn came, they looked up on a hill and there was one tree that had survived, and hundreds of birds who aren't normally together were in that tree singing a song that had never been heard before. And I thought of the earth as the singing tree of the galaxy, and that we can choose to destroy each other and destroy our home, or we can create something beautiful that's never been seen before. And unity through creativity is based on the fact that we receive the power of creator through our heartbreak and our creativity, that we can envision together positive futures to the things that are breaking our hearts. And that is the first step to innovation. And there's been 111 murals made so far. I'm working on the 111th for International Day of Peace next week. And in the book, I share the first steps of everybody making a little singing tree in their own home. And there's a free gift to complete all those steps. And play is so essential to kindness and to peace, because it means that we see each other in more than one role. When we play, you take on more than one role. And if you just look at somebody as different than you, as an immigrant who's illegal, as somebody who is for Trump, as if we make them just one thing, we cannot be kind. But when we embrace the complexity, then and play and see them playing and that joy that comes up, there's vulnerability in creativity and in joy and in play, and that's what we need to be kind.
I love what you just said. Play means we're going to see people in more than one role. You totally gave me a flashback to a moment with my own son when he was very small. And we gave his dad a 40th birthday party with all the friends coming over for a barbecue. And mom whipped out the water balloons. And I was running around, throwing water balloons. And I swear my son looked at me like, who is that? Because I was full on play, like I was, and it was like one of those unexpected moments. But when somebody gets to see you in a different perspective like that, sort of everything changes. Tell me a little bit more about that.
When I'm making singing trees with people, so like with the whole school, and everybody is invited to add a leaf, usually for what kind of service they're doing around the issue, and a bird for what they wish and hope for. Often what happens is that the kids who are in like the skater group will see a leaf that's made by somebody who is called a redneck. And I've had many times somebody, they'll say, I didn't know they had that in them. That's beautiful, right? And
right.
So it
powerful.
And it also, it relates to what Tisha was saying about if you can do the hula hoop and succeed at that, then you can succeed at other things too. And making a mural a distinct thing with a time frame and getting it all done helps you know that you can work together to do something bigger.
Yeah, so important. Thank you so much for being here. And a big thank you to all four of you, honestly, for saying yes to the project, whether you really knew what you were getting into or not, but also just for so beautifully sharing your authentic stories. I've got a mission to trailblaze a different kind of storytelling where TMI really isn't a thing at all. And it's actually the information, the personal information about who you are is what builds a trust with people. And you all did that so brilliantly. And in addition, stepped up as the master teachers you all are to give someone a taste of how to do it right there, right? That's what these books are. I love your term, Lori, of radical collaboration, because I really feel like that's what this is. We're getting together, but we're getting together and doing things differently, which again is a perspective. Perspective is a game changer. It's a healer. I love it. Thank you, all of you, so much. So Liz, you're going to start this next question that I'm going to come around to all of you for, and it's a simple one. What does EmbodyKind mean to you?
Good question. EmbodyKind. I think it's internally knowing how I can treat myself with kindness. And then in turn, because it starts with me first, starts with the I, and then the container of who I'm with, that embodied kindness comes out with the awareness of in partnership with each other. And then also that ripple effect. And I think, all of us in this container right now, just on this interview, would love to see that ripple effect of embodied kindness and how we can reach that in our own unique gifts. So it starts with I first, starts with me first, that self-awareness. And I just want to also jump in and say play is important. And whether you go outside for a walk or have a 1-minute dance party or what we need to do to self-regulate, play is definitely one of the answers.
Yes, perfect. Okay, Tisha, what do you want to add? What does this mean to you, EmbodyKind?
Definitely you want to just thank Liz for acknowledging looking within to start. We have to start by being kind to ourselves, and the hula hoop has really taught me that journey in terms of picking it up. And when I first started, it would fall all the time. And then what comes next is that I suck, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. And I had to learn to be kind and gentle with myself to get myself to that place where I can do anything. And then I transplant that into the people that also are picking up the hoops. Often the first thing everybody says is, I could never do this. And I said, well, we are rewriting that chapter, and you're going to start by saying something kind to yourself before you even pick it up the hula hoop. So it's about making sure that the kindness comes within and that you literally embody that you are the kindness, because then again, as Liz said, it has no choice but to infect others.
I've learned to change the inner critic statement to a question. I wonder how I'll be able to do this.
Nice one.
And just like moving it into curiosity feels so much better inside the middle
Beautiful.
of your heart, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, Tisha. Okay, Lori, what about you? What do you want to add? What does it mean to you?
Well, I understand that 80% of all human self-talk is negative, and that's a survival development that we had to prepare for threats to our survival. And so the discipline of turning my negative self-talk into positive self-talk is just what we've been talking about. Also to understand that it is physiologically very difficult to not attack back when you feel attacked. We have 0.04 seconds to take a breath to interrupt our reptile brain, which developed for millions of years. I mean, millions of years. And so if you think that it's hard to be kind to others, you're right. It doesn't happen easily. And I practice breathing in for 4, holding it for 4, breathing out for 4, and holding it for 4, which the military uses. And Brene Brown, that's where I learned it. So I practice that all the time. And I think maybe once in my life when I felt attacked, have I been able to stop and do that. So I'm not giving up. And so embodying kindness means always doing this self-work. It means surrounding myself with positive people that are doing this self-work. And it also means receiving the incredible web of life miracle that we experience on this planet. So that helps me. I mean, nature embodies kind.
That's nice.
The competition always happens in the context of incredible collaboration.
0.04 seconds totally explains most of the moments with my ex. Okay,
Yeah.
so Ari, what do you want to add? It's hard to go last on this question. What does EmbodyKind
It's-
mean to you?
Well, everybody has said it very nicely. I mean, it's Gandhi's be the change we want to see. It's easy to blame other people for not being kind, but of course that just perpetuates the negativity. And this is really everybody who's written for this book and who's on this podcast making a commitment to themselves in a kind way and to the world to just start to model this behavior, and knowing that the cost to us is really nil, and that the potential benefit is very high, and that sitting on this call with all these amazing, wise, kind, and calm people, it's very easy to be kind, of course, because we're setting the tone for each other. And in our fantasy, I think it's safe to say all of us would imagine the whole world just switching over like a software download, but the reality is it's a long, slow change. What we have the most influence over is what we do, and all the great tips, whether it's the hula hoop or play or whatever that we can come up with, that I wrote about, that everybody on here wrote about, we can start to change the world. And it's not going to happen probably completely in my lifetime, but we got to start somewhere, and I'm honored to have a chance to contribute in some small way.
Yeah, that's nice. I like what you said, that we set the tone of kindness for each other. And you know what's one of my favorite things, the best things is playing in the sandbox with all of you, is you're all taking responsibility for what Ari just said, for setting the tone for each other. You have taken on that responsibility of moving into the world, doing that self-work. I feel so grateful every day and every interview to be here, you know, playing with you all in that practice. It's very, very powerful, feels really good. Okay, so speaking of feeling and awareness, which I believe is healing, feeling is healing, right? Feeling is an awareness practice, really understanding what's going on in there, your mind, your body, all of the things. And we started off talking about with Liz, talking about being in your body and the sensations. I'm like, what am I even noticing? Tisha, I'm going to start with you on this next question. You know, helping people to feel is part of this for me. What's your practice, your personal daily practice of awareness and feeling? What's that look like? Give us a little peek into one of the things you do to practice.
Well, I don't really have to practice to feel, because I feel everything. I think my practice is accepting that I feel everything, and accepting that if I see a beautiful butterfly, it is okay that I cry. And accepting that if I'm feeling sad, it's okay that I'm feeling that. And so I think my practice has really turned into embodying kindness towards myself, because I'm just someone who has such an array of feelings, and allowing them to be like the ocean, and to let it be okay if there's 4 days of feeling amazing and great, and then all of a sudden the wave crashes, and I don't feel good, and not feeling just destroyed because I was doing so good. And remembering, you know, like Lori speaking into nature is our most beautiful reflection. And there's reasons we have seasons, and there's a reason we have the moon and then the sun, and to embrace our feelings from those places and allow nature to teach us the ways.
Yes, I love that. I love what you're saying. You're honestly, what you first said about acceptance, I think, is a really big deal. Your feeling practice is actually about accepting all the feelings, giving yourself permission to feel everything, which I think is a foundational awareness practice. So some of these are ninja moves, you guys. So for our listeners, you're getting a book full of, I think, other level kinds of awareness practices, things that are going to bring you to another level of goodness in your life. And I get so excited with you guys talking about these topics. Lori, how about this question for you? Give us a little window into one way you practice awareness in your day-to-day. You're muted, Lori. There we go. All right.
As an extreme extrovert, I have not had easy access to my feelings, so I'm jealous, Tisha. I have to work very hard to know what I'm experiencing, and drawing and painting have helped me tremendously. The egret behind me is he's flying to a wound. And I made this right when COVID began, and I had accidentally poked a hole in the canvas. And so right here, there's a hole. And I thought, oh no, I ruined the canvas. And then I realized with COVID and we're all sick and people are dying and we're crazy and isolated, that we have to go to the pain to heal. We can't pretend the pain is not happening. And I was experiencing a lot of pain with a relationship. And I made a painting, and I also wrote pain, love, surrender. You don't feel pain if you don't love. We all love, and things happen that hurt us. And so being able to express what's going on inside me just has been a tremendous practice. And I just want to say, we've been drawing for 60,000 years at least. We've been writing for 5,000 years. Everybody in school thinks they can write the alphabet, but they think they can't draw. It's that same thing about starting the hula hoop, the hoop, right? I can't do it. So everyone has unique images that can flow out onto the paper.
We were sitting in a retreat over the weekend, and that came up, everybody's a writer, everybody's an artist. And then we started, one of our fellow authors sang, and afterward, everyone is a singer. And some of the people were like, no, like, oh, you may be writer, maybe artist, but singer, no, and I just really think that that creativity, no matter what it is in all of us. And it's great to wake up to that. I love it. Your art is beautiful, Lori.
Thank you.
Ari, how about you? Tell us about one of your personal ways that you practice awareness.
Well, it's a whole life of recovering from unawareness, but
No kidding.
There are many because it's just like kindness. I mean, it's rigor, and good intentions are clearly an excellent beginning, but we need to actually make it happen every day. So a couple things for me. One is I journal every morning.
Wow.
I've written about that too. It's huge. A second is I run every day, super slow. I don't compete, but it just gives me an hour or whatever to reground. And then I cook every night. So those three are sort of the whatever grounding points throughout my day. And then one more that I'll add is just in our organization, aside from kindness, we teach many other things. And one of them is energy management. And so it's in a good way, in the way that everybody on here would like to see kindness embedded in American culture. We have, over the last 10 or 12 years, gotten energy awareness and energy management embedded in our organizational culture. So in a good way, it's infinitely easier. The next thing I'm going to do this morning is go to a meeting, and when we do the icebreaker introductions and people debrief on how they're doing, it will include how their energy is. So in the same way that just thinking kindness will help you be kind, which will encourage others to be kind in turn, this does much the same. So those four things are what come to my mind.
I love it. And the best book I ever read on meditation actually basically said every moment of your life is an opportunity to meditate. So I love that you're talking about just some normal daily things that you do for yourself, but in those moments you have these opportunities for your managing your energy. I also like what you said about energy awareness. Did someone else want to make a comment on that? I heard some noises.
So practical and useful.
Yes, definitely. Okay, Liz, how about you? What's one of your ways?
Well, I am so excited to share this because I have what I do every day is I move to move emotion. That's how I describe it. So every day is a movement. It's a play opportunity for me. So I start my day off also with a run or a jog or some form of activity, because moving supports that sensory system, so that primitive brain with neuroscience, which tells us, which the reptile brain we've had forever, Laura, that you've mentioned. But yeah, I use movement as a way to have clarity, bring me back to center, be focused. And it's amazing how movement touches the clarity and affects our sensory system and every aspect of our lives and how we show up. So I use movement as a key ingredient. Number two is I take every 15 to 20 minutes. If I'm in a non-moving environment, I take a break. And so I let those resources again of moving. So I really tap into that vestibular, proprioceptive. I know those are big words, but those are sensory systems that are key regulators, neuroscience wise. So I do a lot of moving to moving motion.
Yeah, I love
as
it.
one of my key things.
I've been a lifelong athlete, and movement has been one of my main ways to, it's basically just let's get you back in your body where everything good happens. Like I like to do that every day. It's really important.
And I
Yeah.
was just gonna add, well, you can't do a 1 minute dance party and come out feeling like, how do you feel after 1 minute dance party? So
Yeah, super awesome.
I also learned that for most of human history, men who were hunting and people who were hunting ran 3 days without stopping. And the women walked 11 miles a day in their hunting and gathering. And, that's how our bodies are made. And
Yes.
not
And there were no Oreos.
no
So
Oreo.
the combination of those two things made for a fit body. Oh my goodness. Yeah, imagine that. I'm a marathoner, so like I can imagine that, but it's pretty amazing to think about how far we've gotten away from a daily amount of intense movement.
Yeah.
And how important that probably is to keeping you fit, not only fit, but sane and energized and all of the things you need to, relate to each other. All right, you guys, you're all so amazing. I want to wrap up with a question that really is more geared toward the people who are listening to you today and really talking directly at them. And let's see if you guys can give me just a simple, basic thing. I know that you could go on and on about these topics, but let's keep it short, sweet on this one. Lori, for those viewers today, some of them are listening and they get it. And I don't know about you all, but I've had goosebumps multiple times listening to these amazing authors talk about these topics that maybe they're still struggling and they need a simple stepping stone on this journey. What would yours be today? What's the one thing you want them to know? Am I really going to stump you on that last question?
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Okay.
I would say that we inherently belong. We belong to ourselves. We belong to our families. We belong to this earth. Nobody can take that away from us. There is injustice that we can fight for because a lot of people don't understand that. But we belong. We belong here.
I love that. That's really great to remember that. You were born, so you belong.
Yeah.
Ari, what's your message today?
Thanks, Laura. I think I guess what I'm going to go with is just the obvious incentive for kindness that would come to most people's minds, I imagine quickly, is that we're going to help the people around us. I would just suggest at the same time, we're actually in a wonderful synergistic way going back to the work of Ruth Benedict, the anthropologist, that we're actually making our own lives better at the same time. And that when we hold on to bitterness, blaming others for not being kind to us or whatever reasons we've given ourselves for holding grudges or reacting with anger or whatever, that we're actually making our own lives harder. And it helps others, it helps us, it helps everyone around us. And the energy of kindness, which is, as everybody on here has said, super easy to actually do once you get going. The energy of kindness, it's less stressful. It enhances our physical health, our mental health, and in the process, everybody around us. And if we want to see a great future for kids, for our communities, for our organizations, this is an awesomely wonderful place to begin.
Love it. Thank you. Liz, how about you?
There's about three things that come up for me as I listen and kind of move through this in my own personal way. One is a way of being, how we show up in our world, and the way of being of how we process that out. So we learn how to respond and not react in that process. And the other one is a possibilitarian. I think we all can be possibilitarians and know that we can thrive and be in our world and be curious. So possibilitarian and curious, be curious.
I love that. I for sure am a possibilitarian. I just had to say that word and see if I could say it. I love it. Tisha, you are going to close us out today. What's your message?
Be gentle with yourself and have fun. It's really simple. Make life a game. In my title of my book, I say one revolution at a time, because when the circle goes around, it's a revolution. And so you get to create your own personal revolution every time you choose kindness, every time you choose to be gentle with yourself, and every time you choose to make life fun.
Yes, thank you. I love that. I love finishing with that. Authors, really, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thanks for being here today to share it. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Great to be with all
Thank
of
you very much.
Thank you all for doing what you do.
Yeah.
So to
Embody
all,
kindness.
exactly. To all of our listeners today, I know that you had some nuggets, and one of these authors may have said something that really got you thinking, got you curious, got you inspired. Drop down into the show notes now. Your call to action is to read their bios, click on the website, take a little exploration. They are up to some amazing awesomeness in the world. And I want you to take that next step if something that you heard today really turned you on, and really a small moment of healing happens. I think when we wake up to a different perspective, these authors are going to be offering all kinds of those nuggets in our book coming up. And you are invited to join us for the live stream book launch party, Friday, September 30th, 10 to 11 Eastern. That's going to be on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page. I'm going to have all the EmbodyKind authors with me, and we're going to be sharing their wisdom and inspiration. And of course, if you're listening to this show after that date, well, hop over to Amazon, because that means the book is ready and rolling and you can get your copy today. Yes. Lastly today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Laura.